Here in San Diego, we have a thriving entertainment community. If you're a musician or someone looking to challenge your filmmaking skills by working with a new crew, here is your chance to mingle with some of the most talented and ambitious people you'll ever meet. Come join us from the Intellectual Podcast on Tuesday, August 2nd at the Whistle Stop Bar in South Park for the Music and Film Mixer with your host, Kristen Naomi Garcia. Grab a drink and mix it up during happy hour from 7 to 8 p.m., then get a taste of what our San Diego talent has to offer from 8 to 9:30 p.m. by viewing some locally produced music videos and short films and grooving to live music from Angrabo and the incredible punk sound of the Pictographs. It's a great opportunity to not only network within our San Diego entertainment industry, but to also make some great new friends. So come join us. Brought to you by the Intellectual Podcast.
Talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. The Intellectual Podcast starts now.
As many people steal here. Watch those kids though. I'm on to you.
All right.
How are we sounding? Yeah?
How are we sounding?
I think we're sounding good. Do you want to check it?
Yeah, I'm looking at the levels right now. They look okay to me.
Okay.
Headphones are awesome.
I know. So yeah, do you want to check them or no?
Glasses.
I think they sound good.
You got ears? Tell you.
I know.
Check.
You
One,
have
two.
you have sound ears. You know what I mean? Your crew.
Sound ears.
I'm slowly understanding,
Sound ears.
As long as the wind isn't too hard, we're okay. Do you hear a lot of wind?
I don't think so.
Hold our breath for a second.
I personally don't.
Hold for sound.
Yeah, no, we're good.
No, we're good. That's what I thought. Okay, good. See,
Hold for room tone.
You know what good sound
check,
sounds
right?
like. Don't psych yourself out.
I'm just making sure. I'm checking from the master.
You'll know the wind sound because it's like...
Listen, Obi-Wan. Sound just like that. That's the professional noise for wind sound. Okay.
You gotta explain it somehow.
This is why I need to learn from the pros. Equals wind.
Right.
Welcome to the Intellectual Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Dawson.
I'm Kristen Naomi.
And we're sitting here with Lou Niles.
Yes, the Lou Niles.
Hey, how's it going?
Kristen's been wanting to get you on the show for a long time.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I'm honored to be on your
I'm
show.
finally getting around to letting guests that she wants on the show.
Yeah, it's like
And
a
it's
list.
turning out to be a good thing.
And then the second list. It's not cool. Well, and, our schedules are nuts. We have creative schedules, so it's not always easy, to match up.
Extremely difficult. I was not easy.
It's okay. No, you were just creatively comfortable. That's what you are. We're used
She's
to
a real
that.
good bullshitter too.
Stop it. That's the truth. It was worth it, Lou.
Right.
It was worth it.
Cut to her.
Yeah.
Cut to her comments back. What the hell? Let's just not do it.
No, I was going to make it happen regardless. It's like this is happening wherever this man wants to be. Yeah, how are you, Lou?
I'm doing good. I'm good. It's a good summer so far. Yeah.
It's such a good summer. We're actually podcasting right here by the beach.
Yes.
This is what, Buccaneer Beach Park?
Buccaneer Beach, right here in Oceanside.
Right at sunset.
This is beautiful.
And I got my shades on, so it's a lovely shade of pink on all the
I
clouds
know, me
right
too.
now.
Everything's
Train going by in the background.
Yep.
Sunset.
Huge waves.
Big
Barely hear the
waves.
train.
High tide over here.
Yeah. So you said you surf,
great.
right, Lou?
Yeah, I do.
How long you been
I
surfing,
get-
Lou?
Oh, probably since I was a kid.
Yeah?
Very small kid.
Little grommet?
Yeah. Growing up. Grew up on the beach, in the water, in the river, in the ocean,
Did you grow up
in
around
the
here?
bay. Grew up in Coronado and North Park, IB.
Nice.
Down south.
Yeah, South County. Never thought of it as South County back then.
It was just San Diego,
but,
right?
Yeah.
I grew up in Encinitas, and at the time, I never thought of it as North County. It was
North.
just, I live in San Diego.
I don't think they called it North County back then. I don't know.
No,
what
they're
they
really
just-
kind of like a late 90s thing when they
yeah.
started giving it that designation.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's true. Weird.
Yeah.
What high
San Diego
school did you go
history.
to?
I went to Coronado High School.
Coronado High School?
Yeah.
How was that experience?
It was good. I mean, it was, I was one of the poor kids there. The other people I met all the time when I was younger seemed to think there was some sort of like golden spoons at the cafeteria and stuff at Coronado. But I guess there's some well-off military kids. But and some other wealthy kids. But I hung out with some scrappy. Somebody's got to like be the waiters and waitresses and stuff, right? So
I hear you.
we hung out over there, and it was pretty neat. Really, I think I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it as a kid. I don't think I really appreciated it till later, leaving the Rock, as we called it, and just going back there and realizing how amazing it was. It's changed a lot, but it's still pretty amazing. But I grew up very small, just being able to hop on my skateboard or bicycle and cruise around town. The streets are really wide. There wasn't a lot of traffic back then. It's safe. There's sidewalks everywhere. So even whether you're on the sidewalk or on the street, there's plenty of room for cars, the few cars that there are to go by. You can just cruise across town and go look for your friends, before technology and all that. You had to go hunt them down, and you didn't have very far to go.
Go now.
Right. Yeah. That's what that is. Jeez.
So it's an awesome place to grow up. The graduating class of 170 or something like that too. It's just
a little bit of a smaller school for the area.
Yeah.
So I feel fortunate.
I graduated from San Diego. We had 580 people in our graduating class.
Yeah.
It just felt massive. But we had the same sort of experience in Encinitas. Wide streets, not a lot of traffic. Everybody just kind of did whatever they wanted. It was a sleepy town.
Yeah.
Now it's Yupsterville.
It's crazy. Big SUVs and nuttiness.
I mean, there were always BMWs rolling around, but now there's BMW SUVs.
Yes.
Porsche SUVs.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
BMW wagons, trailers,
That's ridiculous.
Mercedes trucks.
The rich
Well, I've
cars,
seen that,
the rich
yeah.
cars, they understood where the money was going, and so they adjusted.
Ugh.
Yeah. When the
Gross.
Porsche Cayenne SUV came out, it was like, oh, this is like the apocalypse.
That's when you know
the end of the world.
It's not
Porsche's
good.
got an SUV.
you have to fancy over the bumps.
When was the first time you got listening to radio?
To radio? Well, I actually I couldn't, as a young kid, I couldn't go to sleep without the radio on.
I used to do that.
Yeah. So there was this cool, actually, way back in the day, it was actually called KPRI, which went away for a long time and then came back.
Right.
And
we
there
were
was
actually talking to Shotgun Tom about KPRI yesterday.
Yeah. There was this show, this late night show called this guy named Sal Paradise. And I used to listen to that. I was a sucker for the, the kind of the love songs. Like maybe you see that late night TV and advertise. They don't do it anymore because they can't sell CDs. But they used to get the 5 CD set.
Right.
And it'd be like if you like pina colada,
Like
or like
the Tropical
James
Island
Taylor,
Love Mix.
like summer love songs. Like a lot of those one
All
hit
the
wonder
soft
kinda,
love.
Yeah.
All the soft love songs from your
I
youth.
was all into that.
Nice. Yep.
I'm not in
Bring
love.
back a happier day.
Oh yeah. You can roller skate.
I was into
softly
the
too.
heartache songs when I was
Aw.
like 7.
Yeah.
So I listened to radio a lot then, and then I would try to DJ my own stuff, and we would play the stereo and play football out in the front yard, like to a soundtrack.
That is so cool.
Dive and make the crazy catches, imagining that's like the slow motion NFL films of the 70s. but
That's
us.
rad.
I remember being the poorer kid in my school too, and I couldn't afford to go out and buy vinyl whenever I wanted, or even a cassette single because I was just broke. But we had blank tapes around, or I would make a blank tape out of some of Dad's tapes.
Yep. Oops.
And I remember
It happens.
sitting on the radio with the record button ready to go,
Oh yeah.
and trying to grab the songs that I wanted, to make mixtapes live off the
There
air.
you go.
Like that's a whole different time. Kids don't have to do that anymore.
I was super lucky. My mom had, she was 5 sisters, and I had some other aunts that were really young. My mom was 20 when she had me, but then she was the oldest. So, and my dad was the oldest in his family. And so the subsequent daughters were just like, 6, 7 years, 8 years older than me.
Right.
So, I was cruising around in their basket or whatever. They're bicycling around Coronado. And then when they got into high school and they got the vinyl for sure, and I would spin those and listen to that, maybe spin their parties and then make those mixtapes, It was
Nice. So you had access because of them.
Always just crazy for the music. And so when I got into high school, I was so passionate for it. I ran into people that were in bands and would be like, hey, everybody's got to see you. And I ended up, quote unquote, managing them or putting on shows at my high school or other places, or just having keg parties and having the bands play. So
it's a nice bike rolling by.
It's been forever.
Got a good sound.
We get a lot nice deep bass. So I've always been into it. It's just been forever. And then just things happen, and I got to be on 91X in like 1988.
It's a huge jump, like high school, and then I just happened to be there.
Well, I DJ'd at some popular clubs in San Diego. There was a club called Play School. It started up in the Hotel San Diego downtown.
Okay.
And I wasn't one of the happening DJs, but in one of the rooms, me and my friends played some stuff. And then when I went to New York to go to college, I had a college radio show and then DJ'd at some of the nightclubs around Long Island and Queens, and went into the city a lot. So I've always came back, wrote this letter for the show. They had this show on 91X called The Great Unknown, and you're supposed to write in, like for real, like write and put a stamp on it.
Like in cursive?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's cursive?
What's that?
They don't even teach that in school anymore.
I know.
So, that's what my son's saying. And sent my letter in my playlist, and Pam Wolf gave me my first shot to be the Great Unknown. Liked my playlist so much, got me a job there, started helping out a couple of the DJs and a couple of the other shows, and became a part of Loudspeaker in like 1988 when it first started. Marco Collins, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had spoken to Marco.
What you don't understand is this man was doing that at 91X when I was listening to 91X in junior high and high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
My musical influences, things that I was listening to, the new songs and everything that were coming out, he was part of that whole group that was influencing my class.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
I loved hearing those stories.
This is what I love, too, because Dave was there, but I wasn't. And so I get to hear all of these stories about how much you guys, that group, really did influence a lot of, alternative and a lot of people's musical influences here in San Diego. So you guys had a big impact.
I love hearing those stories because we were in a room and we didn't have a window. Not one of those cool radio stations with a window, right. Like in the movies, the radio station always has a window out on the world, or like Spike Lee movie. That's the coolest radio station in the world, where it's just like, hey, people walking by on the street. I love that one.
Yeah.
But
lucky them.
But that's even kind of how we listened to 91X back then, because it was like you had the stations that your parents let you listen to when you're in the car with them, like B100 or one of those. Yeah. It's fun, it's pop, it's whatever. But then when it was just us hanging out, up on Smokers Hill or out at the beach, 91X came out.
91X.
We were listening to 91X. We were listening to a bunch of stuff that our parents wouldn't want us to listen to.
Right.
Yes.
And it was awesome.
That was good. Yeah, and the show was on so late back then, we could get away with a lot of stuff. And I pushed the envelope quite a bit there. Marco pushed the envelope so much that he got fired at one point, but on one of the specialty shows that we did. But when he left and moved on and went to record label, I just kept pushing the envelope. I got to do specialty shows here and there, but really my passion was more the local music and the really new stuff. And I just loved it. There was so much happening in the scene back then in the late 80s into the mid 90s. Just some of the bands that are still so influential today to a lot of the great music that there is today. There's tons of it still. We listen to the radio and they'll be like, here's another one from a local band. And she goes, what the hell? They're from here too? Like for the last week or two.
Yeah.
Like, she keeps hearing all these bands that are from here that she's been listening to for
naming
years.
off
And she's
bands.
like, what?
Because
music here is fucking awesome.
Me growing up in, the city that I was from,
Chicago.
there's a lot of music there.
There is.
But you get spoiled. And so then I'm going to San Diego, now it's been almost 2 years now. And I'm realizing how much of my music is from here. And so it's nice. It's really nice, actually. It's really refreshing.
I like Wilco. I like Rise Against.
Oh, of course. Yep.
Silkworm from Chicago.
Who was it?
Silkworm.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think Silkworm is.
There's some good stuff.
There's a lot of good bands from Chicago. But I mean, in the 90s, in the late 80s, I should say, like, I know there's got to be some bands that, you probably were playing first before everybody else. Is there a particular band that you love that nobody else knew about and then just happened to be one of your favorites and still is?
I think that, yes to all of that.
Yeah.
I think there was definitely bands that I know that, the other bands or the other people in the scene that were just so passionate about the music, or, hey, this person used to be in my band and now they're in that band and boy, they're great. I can't wait till they record something. And then they would record stuff and bring it down to the studio. Sometimes it'd even be on 1/4-inch tape. It'd be reels. It'd be so fresh they just mixed it that we'd be playing it that brand new. They come straight at 1 a.m. from the studio.
It must be exciting to be in that kind of environment where you're like, oh,
yeah,
I'm getting to hear this and share it with the world all at the same time.
And to hear some of the beginnings or listen to it morph and stuff like that. But I mean, bands like Heavy Vegetable and Boilermaker and so many bands that didn't quite go very far. They were only around for a little amount of time, but so many of the bands or the people that are still around today, if you mention those bands, like, oh my God, yes, like Power Dresser was a band that was amazing and influential, but just had a short life. And then there's some bands like Truman's Water that, had a sort of a short life, and then they've come back or they've come back in different shapes and forms. They've played reunion shows. The guys from Octagrape have a band that's, very their flavors that were in Truman's Water are in that band. But I played Jewel on the radio before she had any recorded music. Of her original stuff. I mean, there's recordings of her playing in bars with her pops or her grandpa or whatever. But my friend Steve Poltz had me down to a show and surprised me with I got this surprise for you. And Jewel came in through the back of this bar because she wasn't old enough to be in there and played some songs. And I'm like, oh my God, you got to give me your tape, because that was always my thing. You give me your tape. Yeah, cassette tape.
No, those are back now. That's cool.
Give me your tape and I'll play it on my show. And she didn't have one, so we did this thing that I do with some bands. You come in and play live,
right?
And then we'll have it, and I'll tape record you playing live, and then I'll have something I can play until you get something recorded. And that was early on, but we played bands like Pitchfork and Rocket from the Crypt and Fishwife, a lot of bands on cassette and vinyl. And then when Cargo Records came to town, there was these weird little plastic things they were calling compact discs.
Ooh.
Digital recordings. So there was stuff like that. But I played POD on my show from a couple cassettes. I still have one of them. They were kids out of Chula Vista, like a 3-song cassette. And I used to get a lot of crap on my show for playing music that was too diverse, because I guess some people are like, oh, it's 91X, you should be playing this. Or on the metal station, their local show should be playing metal stuff only, right? But I was like, hey, it's local music and it's the cutting edge rock or whatever back then. I'm going to take some liberties and play some singer-songwriters, and all the way over here to noise bands and
it's interesting how much people want to pigeonhole everything into a specific thing.
Yeah.
You're this radio station, you only play that. And, you're this kind of person, I should only hear you playing that kind of music.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Right.
It's the pattern thing.
It's what the
human brain is used to seeing patterns. We find patterns in everything, whether it exists or not. That's why we can see an elephant in the clouds. Our brains are just designed to recognize patterns, and I think we get stuck in a rut where we just pigeonhole everything into a particular pattern that we think we see or want it to be.
Right.
And that's one of the great things about a station like 91X is that kind of freedom to break out of a pattern
Yeah, the testament
and play something new.
Testament to Kevin Stapleford, who was the guy in charge back then, who let me do that. And I think that most stations around the country that have specialty shows or local shows, they try to rein it in a little bit, especially the specialty shows, the new music show. It's like, well, it's new that's could be played when it gets bigger on our regular rotation.
Right.
And so for them to let me just play string quartets, and as long as it was local, and I played a bunch of bands, I think it was the first one to be playing a bunch of bands from Tijuana, because I'm like, well, how much more local can you get? That's where our stick is, up on top of the mountain there. So they're actually more local than the San Diego bands, you know? So it had a brief period of time where we had a lot of cross-border shows going on. We'd bring some of those bands over there to play over here to play with the popular bands, and we'd go over there and played some really neat bands. A couple of bands that got pretty big in Mexico for a while there. A band called Grupo No, and this band called Artefacto, which was like it's kind of like Depeche Mode.
Nice.
And just some really cool stuff. There's so much good music, you know, and it's just exciting. There's somebody's, I just pick something that I really like, you know, or I think it's a good song, or I think it's a good sound. And, you know, because sometimes I will play stuff that I'm not going to go listen to like crazy in my car or at home, but I'm like, that's a really good song for that music, or that's a really good sound, what's going on there. I don't know if I can listen to the whole album, but people have to hear this because there's some people out there that are going to freak out and they're going to want to go see a whole set.
I think amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Having that ear to decipher between your own style, personal style and personal taste, and then just
recognizing good music.
Good music in general.
Yeah, I think it's
wonderful.
It's unfair, and it's a disservice. It's wrong. If you've been given that airtime to turn people on to new music, and you're only going to be like, well, I'm in the swing dancing, so I'm going to play like 70% like rockabilly and swing music, and then I'll play a couple other things. I just, unless you're like on a college radio and you've got the Irish Music Hour, you know, and you've really got a thing going there, then you got to just bust it out.
I'm like, I love the blues, but I have a hard time finding anywhere to listen to it on radio.
We had some really good stuff. I would play Tomcat Courtney. I would play Willie J, the Texas Hurricane, was really well loved. A lot of different kind of weird stuff, Forbidden Pigs and the Paladins and Buddy Blue, and different versions of guys that came out of the Beat Farmers. Had some kind of rockin' bar blues to it. Earl Thomas was just incredible. I abused the Earl Thomas CD a lot, and then he moved away to Seattle, and at the time that was like complete, you know, mutiny, coup. What are you doing? You can't do that. I'm not playing you anymore. So Earl Thomas album, he had a couple of really good albums, but that first one that came out on CD was just incredible. So
have you been at 91X consistently since 88, or?
I haven't. I started there in 88 with Marco when he got the show. He was the host, and we were both working on the show called Listen to This, which was like insane, amazing, cutting-edge show that Pam Wolf and Kevin the Dead Dog Kid did. And he talked somebody into giving him this show, and he's like, you're part of it. And we probably did it together for a little over a year. And then he got these other opportunities to go to record labels or other cities and stuff like that. And so I took over and did that for a while. It was really amazing. And then just realized all the, you know, I guess I kind of had an ear, and it was time to move to LA. And my girlfriend at the time was like, I'm going, because I want to write and work in Hollywood movies, and you can go or you can stay. And I'm like, I guess, I don't know, I guess I'll go. And it makes sense. Yeah. You know, I get like, thank you. That you get down there in the thank yous. It's like, sometimes it's the 5th name, sometimes it's the 20th name. I'm like, that's rad. That's cool that they even thank me, because I'm just doing it because I love it and I'm their friend. And she's like, no, people like, you can make a living doing this and do even more, like actually help them make the album. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I guess I should do that. What, you mean shoot higher? So
sometimes it takes a woman in your corner to make you go higher. Right?
Yeah. So I shot higher. We went to LA. We lived there for 9 years. I worked in TV and film and music publishing, and did all kinds of stuff, A&R and touring, radio promotion. Had a kid. She wasn't supposed to be able to have kids. So that was like,
surprise!
Whoa, hey,
oh, wow.
So we kind of saw it as a big sign. I mean, she worked like 70, 80 hours a week, and so did I, 7 days a week.
Wow.
I worked and went out to shows, and then she was working on she worked on some Tom Cruise movies and stuff like that. And they are like shooting all day, every day so he can go to the next movie, apparently. And we just decided it was time to come back.
Yeah.
Just to spend time on family, and really didn't matter whether there was film or music or not down here, and came back and started building our own thing. And I was guest host on Loudspeaker a bunch of times, and visited the other radio station a couple times. When Mike Halloran was there, he had me on, and then Tim Piles was at 94.9. I was on there a couple times, so bounced around a little bit. And then I think it's almost 2 years ago, maybe a little less than 2 years ago, Mike Halloran invited me back to be, like a co-host on the Loudspeaker show. So it's been really cool doing that, finding new music still, and putting on some shows, and doing my web series.
In Your Neighborhood.
Yeah.
This is how we actually met. So Lou and I actually met during a music and film mixer. I think it was my first. And Jody didn't prep me on any of it. And she's like, okay.
Sounds like Jody.
You're going to, I love you, Jody. We all love you. But she's like, you're going to talk to this guy, Lou. He's got this thing. And go. Just ask him some questions. I was like, wait, what? What's going on? So I didn't really get too much background on you, and then got, kind of thrown into the In Your Neighborhood, which is fine, because I immediately started falling in love with it, because music is like my soft spot.
Yeah.
And we had talked about, how much music has influenced my life, and half my friends and half the people I dated are musicians. It's something, even though I'm in the acting, I have to have music. And so I'm always searching for new music. And even here, I probably know more local bands and more local music than half the people I know, just because I'm out searching for it. I go to, shows by myself, and I've listened to Loudspeaker a handful of times. There's many times I'm driving home and I'm like, just turn on, and
there it is.
There it is. And it's just, it feeds my, my itch for the new local music. And so, when I got to talk to you about In Your Neighborhood, and I started realizing, this is what is going on. Lou's actually putting on these shows. He's talking to these bands and bringing them to Oceanside, the Poorhouse, and then did a documentary about it. How was that experience, kind of putting all that music to film? Because I know, you weren't alone, because Carly, your wonderful wife, also has been in film too. And so you had, and some buddies of yours to help.
Yeah, it wouldn't, the actual web series wouldn't happen if it wasn't for Carly and Love Machine Films. So I'm on Loudspeaker, and I have my spot, or I'm on there. Sometimes I'm on there longer. Some nights it's crowded and there's lots of bands in there. So I'm just like, I get out, because it's not enough mics to even talk. Hey, I'll catch you later, bro. So just for a long time been developing different ideas, different TV shows ideas, different cable show ideas, and just kind of morphed one of the ideas into, well, let's just make it shorter and web, friendly, really short. And I know so many people, and I really love the show Sound Diego, and they go out, they have the format where they're going out, what's happening this week or what just happened, and live shows and live bands and interviewing backstage. And that's really cool. And I felt like when I did Loudspeaker, I felt like some of my bosses in radio that I've had just hate my style on the radio, because they're like, dude, people are going to fall asleep. And I'm like, no, they're maybe some of them, they could turn the channel. No, they can't.
Don't say that.
We don't want them to do that. But I felt more like, hey, we're sitting here in my living room, and I'm playing some music for you, like the old days. Like you just have a stack of vinyl and you're putting one on the turntable and then you're taking it off, you're putting another one on the turntable.
That was one of the great joys when you were younger.
Right.
Just sitting around the turntable and playing music.
How could I have that be like the web series? How does that translate into the web series? So I've got a lot of friends in these bands, and I thought, well, if I just go and hang out with them, and it's Lou Niles, and it's not, I try not to bring too many cameras. Sometimes I have, just because they're a bigger band, and I don't want to miss anything.
Right, you need the coverage.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to cover the shot. So, but I'm trying to do these things where it's just like, hey, we're just hanging out. You bring too many cameras and make it all official and talk to the manager, and then it's like, oh, no, can you send over the questions beforehand? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, no. This is This is In Your Neighborhood with Lou Niles. And so we're just hanging out. We're coming to your neighborhood. We're checking it out. We maybe talk about the neighborhood a little bit. We talk about you. We talk about music, what was happening in the past, what's happening now, and just kind of do that and morph it. And I've done one on a filmmaker, Bill Perrine. Done a few more on music. I'm going to be doing some on artists and try and spread it out to culture and photography, somehow tied into local music. Maybe it's a photographer that has been in a band or has taken a lot of photos of bands or done cover art or something like that. And just we've got more episodes coming, and it's just cool. It's I think it's coming out. I get just when I see my face or I hear myself talking. So
isn't that ironic?
It's hard, like Carla would be editing and she'd be like, come here. What do you? Is this? How about this? How about this? She'd show me like a few seconds of something, and I'm like, yeah. She's like, where are you going? Where are you going? I'm like, yeah, it's good.
You're like, I went into radio.
What, you don't like it?
Radio.
Like, no,
I went into radio.
No, that's good. That's good.
I don't want to see myself on screen.
I trust you, honey. Just do it.
Yeah. So
you're the one who married me for my looks. You tell me I look fine.
I was just like, if I watch it too much longer, then we won't do any more episodes. I won't ever talk again. So,
I love it. And I love how all of those creatives, they cross over. That's why I keep telling people about the music and film mixers. Music and film are, inadvertently linked. Like you need to have a music video. Someone's got to direct it.
Yeah.
And you need to have music. You need to have a soundtrack for your film. I mean, you have to have those people come together at some point. So why not have it happen in person?
Art.
And
graphic
same with
artists
what you're doing too,
that are in bands, and then one guy I'm talking to who's hopefully going to be a part of an episode. He runs a nonprofit, and he's a really good rock photographer, black and white photographer. Some of the people I know, there's some guys that I used to know that used to make furniture, like metalwork furniture. So trying to track those guys down to see if they're still in bands or.
It's cool. It's how diverse everybody's story is.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I've been loving about the podcast. Is everybody's got kind of the core thing that we all do in the creative world, but our backgrounds are so diverse, and the things that we love to do beyond the little piece that we're all familiar with.
Oh yeah,
is what's interesting to me. The fact that you surf, like I wouldn't know that. Like just hearing you on the radio. Why would I know that?
Right.
But you surf and you wanted to do your podcast here by the beach.
Yeah.
Like, that all makes sense to me now.
Check
and like
the
this is the
sunset.
fitting place to talk to Lou.
Yeah.
Like it's incredibly cool. And getting to find out that you grew up here, we've got similar kind of high school experiences because we're San Diego people. I wouldn't know that. Listening to you on the radio, I thought you came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, that makes it way cooler loudspeaker, because then like you're from here, so you really are in like the nitty gritty of knowing like these bands and where they come from and knowing that sound. Because when I came here too, it's a totally different vibe, and so there's a different sound that comes out of it.
Yeah.
Chicago music is different than DC music. Is different.
She doesn't
from
sound the same now
Seattle.
as she did a year ago when I first had her on the show.
Different now.
She talks different. Her attitude's a
I
bit
say
different.
rad.
She does. She says rad.
I never said rad. No one says rad.
Every
Chicago.
once in a while, just so I get the Chicago out of her. A little bit.
Yeah.
What's the Chicago word? Like, is there any word like that? Like,
I probably have to bleep it. It's very vulgar. No, they don't say stoked. They don't say rad. They don't say bodacious or whatever. Dude. No, they say dude. They don't say bro or bra. They do not.
Bra. Like all that.
Only in jest. That's it. The only one we're making fun of someone being an actual bro, then we make fun. But other than that, it's mostly just yelling about sports. It's not really angrily. Here it's like, oh, look at that sweet sunset. It's rad, you know. And like there, you're not going to say that. No. Someone would probably like beat you up and steal your beer if you said that in Chicago.
Everybody here is like, oh, the Chargers want to move away. Yeah. That sucks, bro.
That sucks, bro. Let's go down to the beach.
Let's go surfing.
Let's go surfing. Who cares?
Chicago, the Bears threatened to leave.
No.
They'd be tearing down the skyscrapers.
Oh my gosh. It would be, or I don't even know. The world would be ending. At least there it would be.
That's fun. I like Chicago. I like the city. I really love New York City a lot.
So you haven't been to New York yet.
And I recorded
in the corner.
Recorded an album in Chicago, and that was
recorded an album in Chicago?
In January though, which was super bad idea.
Oh, not a good idea.
Super bad idea. And I really understood. Yeah, I signed a San Diego band, if you can believe that. Moved to LA, signed a San Diego band. It's what I should do. The incredible Moses Leroy, and recorded an album out there west of the city, and I really understood what it meant by windy. Oh yeah, windy city. Yeah, the wind comes off the lake, right? Mm. No, so they have a serious grid system there, like lots of good old cities do. And
it had to burn down so they could do that. Oh, so it was a mess before. Then it burned down. They're like, oh, let's get it right this time.
Let's plan
this
out on the second.
Yeah. So now it's in a nice grid.
In the afternoon, I walked, or maybe I even took a taxi, and then I thought I'll just walk back to enjoy the environment.
Oh yeah,
the people, the scene. Like, is it Wicker or Wicker Park?
Wicker Park. Wicker Park. Wow.
And so it was it was probably about a 2-mile walk.
Did you go down Milwaukee?
Studio.
Probably.
So I'm going north-south. I'm heading south.
Okay.
And then where I had to go was west down a street, probably about 7 blocks after I went about 15 blocks north to south. Okay. And so every time I came to the east-west street, and I was dressed up. I had a Swedish Army trench coat, and every time I came to that cross and the wind could blow straight off the lakes down those streets, it was like, oh, chilled to the bone. Yeah. I could visualize the shape of my bone with no meat on it because of how it was just cutting through my body.
This is what I try to tell people. Yes, this is like that. I couldn't have put it better myself.
Run across the street. Get behind the next building. Oh my god,
that's exactly right. That is exactly right.
It's like 30 degrees difference. I'm going, what the heck is that?
The wind chill is terrible. It's terrible.
It's brutal.
Yeah, this is pleasant. Yes, now this actually feels warm. I was chilly a second ago, and now I'm like, nope, and it's warm.
That moment just before the sun goes down is when the breeze
drops down to like 68 or something.
Oh no!
And then a few minutes after the sun's gone away, settles down, the heat comes back. That freaks people out the first few times they experience it.
Oh yeah.
Like, why does it get so cold just before the sun sets?
Yeah.
That's called you're crossing into the shadow and the breeze blows.
Not that bad.
Once you're in the shadow, like for good, it's no more breeze.
Yeah.
Right.
So are you still producing bands? Is that something that you want to?
I would love to, but I'm super busy and haven't had the opportunity. But I would love to be involved with. I never really learned how to work the board, which is a huge mistake, I think. So
all this time you haven't learned how to work the board?
And so I wouldn't really call it producing, but just doing A&R on bands, or just trying to help, formulate which songs or which of their creations maybe needed a little bit more of this or a little bit more of that in the mix. Thinking about radio, thinking about songs that are, catchy is such a bad word, I think. Not bad, but just it doesn't really describe it. But just that song that's going to have a lot of people really get into it. So I really like that, finding, because I can't tell you how many times through forever that bands have come to me and they've said, "Oh man, you got to check out track 9. That's our best." And I say, "Oh, that's really important. That's awesome that you put your best song, track 9, first of all." And then I get in there and I'm like, "No, really, it's track 3. Oh, singer hates that song or whatever." And I play it on the radio and everybody's like, "That's the song." And then they get bigger and bigger. And at the shows, that's the song. So I don't know. I think I have a little bit to offer, had a little bit to offer in those opportunities. I'd love to do that again. But I don't know.
Definitely consulting for sure. Guiding.
People ask me all the time and send me their music all the time. So I guess I'm technically still doing that where I tell them, "Hey, yeah, this song or that song," or "Wow, I really like this one," and then I go, play it. If it's local music, I go play it on the show, and try to give it to other people to play on their shows and stuff like that too.
I think it's important for artists to have somebody that they trust that can look in on what they're doing. Because we get so wrapped up in the minutia of how a song came together, or how a film came together, or how a particular performance came together. And it really affects how we're like, well, this is the one I love because I know everything that went into it.
Yeah.
Only an audience member is not going to fucking know any of that.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
So you need that person who's kind of stepped out of your experience of making it to kind of tell you, yeah, track 9's okay, but 3's your winner.
It's like with acting, there's acting coaches, but with music, I think that producers are a lot more involved. There's in acting, there's not really a producer. So maybe that's where there's some sort of
interesting.
I think people kind of trip out when they see a known actor going to an acting coach or something. And it's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, yeah, it's kind of like going to the gym, I guess, or I don't know, especially with acting, you got to work out or have a different nutritionist or a different person to help you figure out how to stretch your mind and your what you're presenting in a different way. And I think sometimes in music you can find that with certain producers or even an engineer or co-producer. And I think it's important, to get a different ear and somebody that's not in the band or somebody that's not too emotionally involved in everything that's going on.
Yeah, but it's got to be somebody you also trust.
Yeah, that's true too.
Who has a good record of recognizing what works and what doesn't.
Definitely had those situations.
You got that record
where I've hooked up bands with really good people, and then it just didn't turn out right.
Yeah,
they just didn't hit it off right, and it probably was a trust thing. They just didn't trust the person, and or something was said wrong at some point, and then what do you do?
Well, trust's a hard thing to earn.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing to win back when you lose it.
Yeah.
But, I think more artists overall could really stand to have that kind of business-minded, this is what's going to be your seller. This is the thing that makes you happy, but this is the thing that's going to keep food on your table.
Yeah, I think
kind of person in their life,
I think all creatives kind of need that.
Creatives need that.
You need to have those people that are going to tell you, like, this is really good, you're doing a great job, but this needs to happen. There still needs to be that constructive criticism, hey, I care about you and your art, but this is what's going to help you propel your career and pay your bills. I mean, it sucks because we have to worry about that, and hopefully you get to a point where you don't. But in the long run, you don't want to lose yourself. And I think a lot of bands, I know my friends have done this too, where they're like, well, they don't understand our artistic vision. And so we're going to sell out. Like, we're going to lose who we are as a band. Yeah. And then that's when bands break up and they start another band, and this band on this side does better because then they're just, following what the producer says. And I've had, a handful of friends of mine go on tours, but then they're unhappy later on because they weren't following their heart and yada, yada. And it seems like it's the same kind of story, but it is tough. You never quite know. And when you're young, you're not sure who to actually follow. Is this person actually, do they have my creative mind, while they're, talking to me about my career, or do they just want to make money off me? Mm-hmm. And so that's a difficult decision to make when you're in your early 20s, because you don't know anything about the industry at all.
You don't know anything about yourself in your early 20s.
No, you're just figuring that out. And a lot of times through your music.
Yeah.
So you don't want someone to come in and say, no, this sucks. You need to do this.
Yeah.
That's the last thing you want to hear when you're
in your
22.
20s, everything's important, right? So every
so
song
important.
is like, this is my soul.
How dare you?
Can't criticize
like, you wrote about a tree. Like, yes, the tree is my soul. You know, like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's hard. And people, I don't know, I get irritated sometimes when they don't want to, quote unquote, sell out. Well, then don't make shirts. Don't ask to be paid to play a show. Don't make albums. Just go play in the garage. But then also there are a lot of people out there that aren't really seeing what you're doing and don't have the best interests involved. Maybe, you've got a great looking lead singer, or you've got a couple songs that kind of sound like a band that they think is a hit or is a hit, and they want to kind of mold you into that band, or they want you to, become something else so they can sell records, or they can sign a deal, get you a deal and get the commission off of that or something like that. So there's a ton of that stuff going on. So
it's hard to be an artist.
Yeah.
Because in the end, because it is such a personal thing, like finding that person that you can really trust, who's not going to try and mold you into something other than you are, but nurture who you are. It's very hard. It's a hard thing to recognize, especially again in your 20s.
Yeah.
Who can you really put that kind of confidence into?
Yeah.
It's very hard.
Yeah. I see a lot of bands too when they're, they might break up and they might do their own thing. They might have a family, they might have another career, and then come back, maybe in their late 30s or late 40s. And that seems to be like when they either hit when they're in their 20s or hit when they're at like late 30s or late 40s.
They kind of figured it out.
And they're like, okay, I got a family now. I understand. I still can make my music, and pay my bills. And somehow they find that balance.
Well,
and
you
it works.
see a lot of the 20-somethings who hit it big, either in acting or in music as well, fade away.
Yeah.
About that same age too. So it's
very rare that you see a artist, especially a musician or an actor, go through their entire career in that same field, the creative field. Like, you don't see a lot of musicians, you don't find Mick Jaggers everywhere, or Steven Tyler's. Like, it doesn't happen.
Right. They are names you recognize because they're the exception.
Exactly.
Right. I think that I have a few friends that have somehow been able to not become big, but still make a living at it. And I think that's a little bit of a testament to the internet. At the same time, it's this scary giant haystack that all the little needles can get lost in. But if you've built something and worked really hard along the way, it can just be that thing that can help you grow and grow. I've watched, Gregory Page. He's not making millions of dollars, but he's still making a living at doing what he wants to do and making music. Steve Poltz has had a really great opportunity with it, building off of the success of songs he co-wrote with Jewel. And lots of other bands I've seen have a good run at it and do shows and then cash in, kind of run the band like a business and buy a house and do all these things and then go back to school, become a teacher or teach music or whatever they're doing. But wow, they sowed their oats and they got that album out there and they went on tour a bunch. And so I think there's a lot of different ways that you can do it and still make it happen. And
well, your level of expectation as to what is success is important too. And I don't think a lot of people think about that before they go into these endeavors.
I think you got to go for it, though, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then, but then temper it a little bit and just be you got to work hard. And I think some people only have a certain amount of work hard in them. And then they run out of gas or they get impatient. And you got to persevere. I mean, in my time in the music industry, I can't tell you how many times I saw bands. I saw this band Carol's Flowers play and this band Hybrid Theory play over and over and over again. And Hybrid Theory became Linkin Park and Carol's Flowers became Maroon 5, and it was 9 or 10 years of grinding away at it before things happened for them, and there's so many bands. Muse was a band that I saw get signed and then play shows and nobody showed up. And then there was a bunch of Muse copycat bands. And then they kind of morphed from this Radiohead sounding band into this more U2 meets Radiohead. And that was at least 10 years that they worked at that before they finally, I mean, that's forever. When you've been signed.
Yeah.
And then you get dropped, and then you get signed again, and then you get dropped. Come on. Most people will be like, okay, I guess, we tried. We gave it a good try. That was it, and just keep going. And then finally have it hit. It's, you really got to stick with it. POD and Switchfoot. I've seen them, kind of do well and go up and down a little bit, but they just keep working really hard at it. And it's really a bit, if you talk, well, I'll be talking to them. I've got In Your Neighborhood with POD, and I'm working on getting one with Switchfoot. I talked to John Foreman a while ago, but I want to get the whole band together and really just get in their neighborhood and get with them.
This girl wants to interview Switchfoot.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that'd be cool. Well, I heard their studios up here in Carlsbad. Am I right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool, and that must be nice for them to just be back in their, their element in San Diego, and kind of, that must be really comfortable being in that studio.
Right. And I feel like they've done it right, and probably POD too, but Switchfoot has been successful enough. They're not gigantic, but they've been successful enough and stuck to their, what they want to do, what they want to present, how they want to write, and their morals and family. And they make sure that this time of year, they're not touring. And then this is when we can tour. And then their people make it happen for them.
Right.
And they've probably built their own studio in Carlsbad for them to write, think about it, and work on it. And then, okay, now we got it. We got 50 songs. We're going to take these 15 and make an album or something like that.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of that expectations of what you want.
Yeah.
They know what's important to them, and they've structured what they do around what's important to them.
Right.
And I think
they probably could be. Who knows? They could probably be 10 times bigger if they went nuts.
And went at it nonstop.
Kissed a little kid on the forehead and said, "I'll see you in a year and a half when I get back from Bangkok." And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a famous question. How rich do you need to be, and how famous do you need to be?
Exactly.
Like, when's enough? What is enough for you?
Right.
And it sounds to me like they found that balance for themselves.
Yeah.
And their music's so laid back and easy, and I think that decision is reflected in the kind of music they make,
because it works for everybody. I didn't even know they were a Christian band for a while, and I think everybody connects to their music because the vibe is there. It's just a comfortable, good feeling vibe.
Right.
And so it just works, it seems to work, and they're a household name, but they're not exactly like you said, gigantic.
Being better people, I think is what they, some people put the tag, like we were talking earlier about POD. I got a lot of crap for playing POD on my show because they were really heavy. They were heavy, like Rage Against the Machine, long before Rage Against the Machine existed.
Right.
Wow.
And they were really heavy, and they were a lot more preachy in their music. It was a lot more evident what they were singing about. Switchfoot, same thing. They've had to battle through that. People put these tags on it, and you're not allowed to talk about what inspires you from the stage. Mm-hmm. What's wrong with that? But if you were talking about, chicks and gold chains or drinking or drugs or whatever, that's cool. So I don't know. When I go to, they put on this free show down in IB, and I see all the people out there, and I see what John's talking about between songs, and the sun's shining through the clouds, and there's people surfing, and what he's talking about is just so relevant to what's going on in the world today. Just being better people, and there's just nothing wrong with it. We need more of that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's absolutely the message the world needs at the moment.
Right.
We just need people to be better people.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a free Switchfoot concert.
Right?
That'd help.
Exactly. Just
Why
uplift
didn't they do
everyone.
it up here in Oceanside? Then I could have gone.
Right.
Couldn't go to IB.
Well, you got to let IB have it. Let them have one,
all
okay?
right, IB can have the one gift.
Let them have one. Seriously.
They don't get a lot down there.
No, they don't.
But we've got a In Your Neighborhood.
Yeah, we have In Your Neighborhood,
right?
so we're lucky.
You've got another show coming up soon?
Yeah, got a live In Your Neighborhood show to kind of complement the web series while we take a little time to release each web series. Got a live show coming up at the Poorhouse. They're usually at the end of the month, so the second to last or last Friday or Saturday of the month. So look out for those. In Your Neighborhood with Lou Niles. And the one coming up is with the Filthy Violets and Grizzly Business. And that's happening on the 30th of July.
All right. Nice. I think I know Grizzly Business, actually. I think I've heard them.
It's a good end. Filthy Violets is a new-ish band. They were actually around a while ago and had a torrid breakup, had some issues. And now they're back together. And they just have a really cool sound. I really dig their sound. And they'll be similar and a little different to Grizzly Business. I like to try to do that sometimes. Either have it be like those three bands should totally play together, or be like, what is he doing? And mix it up a little bit so some people get kind of turned on to a band that's not too crazy.
Well, it's like you're doing a live mixtape.
Yeah, I want to put like Wilco with Metallica or something like that, but
whoa.
But get a nice little show, and then
Metallica.
I DJ. Yeah, Metallica. Yeah. It's like, hey. So then I DJ a little bit. I play some local music, old stuff, new stuff, and then I play just music I dig.
Yeah. Well, and I love too, you put your set list up on Facebook after you're done. You put everything up. And I get to go in and peek through everything that Lou's done. And I
wish it could be some sort of, I guess I could if I knew how to do my Spotify or something like that, but make it a little playlist that people could listen to, but hey.
No, you got to let them put some work into it.
Right.
You put all the work into it yourself, so let them have some fun with the internet.
Go hunt this up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that should be part of the joy, is like looking that stuff up, finding it.
That's what I hope.
Yeah.
That's what I hope is happening.
Yeah. Well, and the internet too. Then you have suggestions for other bands, and you can find other music through that list.
Really?
So if they just gave you that Spotify, you might not be able to. Like if you look on YouTube, then it's like, oh, you might like this band or this song, and you find other music and other artists.
Point.
So what you're actually doing is opening up a whole nother world of
once they
music.
start
Those
going
who
into
like
the
this also
players.
liked that. That's
Exactly. So you're actually doing more creative work for them than they even know. Exactly.
Making people click.
Yep.
And
click and listen and learn.
Good thing.
Click, listen, and learn.
And I think that's something that's missing a lot from a lot of radio stations today. Is there's not so much the discovery of music.
There isn't.
I'm finding
No.
it's just like
There's way too much research.
Here's
They
what
call
the
it
corporate
research.
shills want us to play for you. Here it is, and they don't even say the names of the bands or the songs anymore. It's just like music plays 5 or 6 songs, and someone comes on like, "Hey, yeah, we're having a great time here, whatever," and we'll be back with some more music after commercials. I'm like, who the fuck just played?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what was that?
There's a feeling that I don't know whether it's getting lazy because it's some cars, it shows up on the cars, but there's a real feeling that talk less, more music. And I get that. I guess if people have their Pandora or whatever, it's like no commercials, no talking, right? Maybe people want that and they got their playlist.
But I listen to the radio for the
personality,
much for the personalities,
right?
Yeah. Like we were talking to Shotgun yesterday, and I was just like, "Fuck!" I grew up to listening to this guy on the radio, like all the time,
telling
everywhere.
stories,
and he told us all these brilliant stories of his experience, and you listen to the radio to hear them talk and tell you about the music and reflect on the music and reflect on the bands and the personalities that they know, because they have access that we don't have as regular listeners. If I just want to listen to more music and no talk, that's what I have my streamers for.
Yes, exactly.
I'll turn on Apple Music or Pandora or whatever.
Exactly.
And
Right.
Go to town on music I know.
So if you're trying to fit in,
tell me.
if you're
I want
trying to
radio
fit
to
in
talk.
with those streaming services, you're just bowing down and you're killing radio.
Yeah, because now you're offering nothing over the experience of the
There's nothing
streaming.
different,
Yeah, there's nothing
service,
different.
plus more ads.
It's
know?
right.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
more
if I'm
ads.
going to listen to ads and I want somebody talking to me and giving me personality that I'm not going to be getting on the streaming service.
Right, you got to hear these.
I don't know
people's
why
stories.
a lot of the radio stations aren't figuring
Rodney
that out.
Bingenheimer used to tell stories, and then even for top 40, even Casey Kasem, back in the day, listen to that show, and he would tell the little stories in between about, who was going out with who, or this big guy used to be in this band or something, some little story about
connecting
the
all
album.
the dots for you about stuff,
And I just helping I love that. That's what I felt like with the loudspeaker when I used to do it. It's more like talking to the bands about, what guitar did you use, what pedal did you use, why did you do this or that, and get kind of into some of the meat of the music part of what inspired you, who'd you record it with. If we got into talking, get into that kind of telling stories about it. It's always good when somebody, Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols has one of my favorite shows on the radio, Jonesy's Jukebox. There's all kinds of dead air, and he's talking and telling stories about this and turning you on to new, old music, weird rarities you never heard of. Sometimes it's new music, but a lot of this old cool stuff, just digging it up and turning people onto it that really need to be turned onto it, And he's just telling stories that has weird people in there, and sometimes they get off on some weird topic and stuff, but you're listening. You're just absolutely listening. You're enthralled,
Yeah, that personality is important. It's really important.
Yes.
I wish popular radio would remember that.
Yes.
I really do.
Yeah.
Maybe it would save radio. I'm not going the way of print media.
I think it would. I really do.
I think at this point, that's what's going to save it.
But whatever.
Well, I still listen to 91X, and I've been a fan since I got here to San Diego. So I definitely listen to Loudspeaker on Sunday nights, and it's a treat for me. It really is, because I'm finding so much new music, and I like the backstories. I like hearing these bands, and some of them come on too.
Yes.
And it's great.
That's a big part of it. They come in the studio, they talk about they're
excited and they're nervous.
What band they were in before, and what bands they like, and then somebody says, okay, who do you want to hear? We're not just going to play your stuff, guys and gals.
Exactly.
You got to have some other favorite bands in town.
You can't wear your band T-shirt while you're playing.
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
You're playing a show. Just don't do it. So lame.
So funny.
So lame.
Well, Lou, thank you for sitting down and chatting with us.
Yeah. It's awesome. I'm glad we finally worked it out. And
so July 30th at the Poorhouse.
July 30th at the Poorhouse, yeah.
Oh, we're definitely going to be there.
Strongly suggest everybody comes out.
Yes,
yeah, we'll be
everybody
going there.
Out. The intellectuals will be in the house.
Yeah, we'll be going there straight from the soccer tournament that we're working that day.
And lovemachinefilms.com/in your neighborhood is where you can find the episodes. Yeah, we've got the web series up there. I premiere them on 91x.com, and then but they sit. That's where they sit, and we've.
Hey, how's it going?
And then
fan of In Your Neighborhood.
The next episode coming looks to be Jewel or Vinyl Junkies, and then I've got coming down the pipe Cody LaVos and POD.
Nice.
And a bunch of cool stuff in the works.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, look forward to catching up on episodes that I haven't seen. So I've seen a couple.
Yeah.
And definitely looking forward to all the ones that you've got coming up. And like she said, we'll be there on July 30th.
Super excited.
I might be super drained and tired, but we're going to be there.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we strongly suggest all of our listeners, come up to Oceanside. It's not that far. I don't care where you are in San Diego. It's not that far away. Stop bitching. Stop complaining.
Right.
Get in your fucking car and drive to Oceanside.
It's
worth it. Lou does a fantastic job of finding music and finding bands that you need to listen to. We went to one a month ago.
I've been to a couple. I've been to a few already. We went to one,
and it was a weird night. We could only stay for one set, but the band that we listened to was just like, holy crap, this is good music.
Oh shoot, Art Dealers, I think.
Yes,
the Art Dealers, yeah.
Those guys were
really
awesome.
good.
At the end of August, on August 27th, I have this band that I'm really hyped on. It's 2-piece, drums and guitar, and they're called Wove, WOVE, and they're just amazing. They're heavy, and they've got a new EP coming out, and hopefully that's going to be the EP release. Guy plays guitar through a bass amp and uses organ pedal.
Nice.
To just mess with stuff.
I like small bands like that where they got to figure out how to make the bigger sound. I think that's such an interesting challenge for a musician to take on.
Yeah.
So totally cool. So join us with Lou for In Your Neighborhood
July
at the
30th.
Poorhouse, July 30th, and then
August
towards
27th.
the end of every month, August 27th. And check out everything he's got online. And lovemachinefilms.com/in-your-neighborhood.
Correct.
And so again, thank you so much for sitting with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lou.
Cool.
And thanks for joining us on The Intellectual. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/intellectual entertainment. Or you can follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/intellectual network. Or Twitter and Instagram @The Intellectual. You can follow me on Facebook personally, facebook.com/TheRealDavidSDawson. You can follow Naomi on Facebook, facebook.com/Kristen Naomi Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
And you can follow her on Twitter and Instagram @KNAOG1. And you can follow me on Twitter @DavidSDawson or on Instagram @MeBurma. And until next time, this is The Intellectual Podcast. I'm Dave Dawson.
And I am Kristen Naomi.
And we will talk soon.
See you guys.
Hello there, citizens. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the floaty that will not flush no matter how many times you try in the toilet bowl of crime. I am Darkwing Duck, telling you please, talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. Whatever the heck that means. After all, you are watching Intellectual Podcast with your ears.
Here in San Diego, we have a thriving entertainment community. If you're a musician or someone looking to challenge your filmmaking skills by working with a new crew, here is your chance to mingle with some of the most talented and ambitious people you'll ever meet. Come join us from the Intellectual Podcast on Tuesday, August 2nd at the Whistle Stop Bar in South Park for the Music and Film Mixer with your host, Kristen Naomi Garcia. Grab a drink and mix it up during happy hour from 7 to 8 p.m., then get a taste of what our San Diego talent has to offer from 8 to 9:30 p.m. by viewing some locally produced music videos and short films and grooving to live music from Anne Grabeau and the incredible punk sound of the Pictographs. It's a great opportunity to not only network within our San Diego entertainment industry, but to also make some great new friends. So come join us. Brought to you by the Intellectual Podcast.